If you've ever visited the Botanic Garden at OSU, you probably recognize these power lines that cut right through our gardens. And like so many homeowners, we too have to figure out how to plant around them. Joining me today is Chris Martin with OG&E. And you know, Chris, we see this problem all too often, right?
Sure.
Of course, we like electricity, but it comes with kind of some landscaping challenges sometimes.
It does.
So this is a beautiful display that, thanks to OG&E, we've been able to create here that sort of utilizes plants that are appropriate under power lines. Let's talk a little bit about this issue.
Sure.
So tell me first, what's kind of the concern that you're seeing with people out there, and why was there this need?
Yeah, so it's really about right tree, right place, right? And it's not unique to utilities necessarily. I mean, when you're planting trees, you want to make sure you set it up to be successful, right? And so right tree, right place is really about tree planting. But in this regard to utilities, it is important. And so we receive a lot of feedback from customers, and whether that's a survey that our company puts out, or at events, community engagement events, and our daily maintenance. When we go out and engage with our customers, we get a lot of questions about, why are you doing this, or what are you doing? What do you need to do? And the majority of those conversations end up coming back to right tree, right place, right? And so it's really important. We promote it, and we have on OG&E's website, we have under Vegetation Management, we have a lot of information about that, and brochures that talk about trees that we recommend and all. But it is really important because we want to minimize outages. And when the trees are 50 feet tall and 50 feet wide and directly under the line, that causes conflicts and causes issues, right? So right tree, right place is important, and understanding that you can still landscape your property, and you can still add beauty to your property, but you got to think about it a little bit, and you got to plan for it a little bit.
Yeah, it can be challenging. We want our screening, we want our privacy,
absolutely.
but we want power when there's ice storms and things like that too. So you won't have to do a lot of pruning if we keep the plants down low, correct?
Correct, and that's a great a point, right? Is that as we go through and we perform our maintenance work, the goal is to provide safe, reliable electricity at the lowest price possible, right? And maintenance work is included in that, and we want to be able to go through and minimize the impact to the customer. So we don't want you to have momentary outages or sustained outages, right? And so by going through our maintenance operations and pruning or removing trees, that can have an impact, right? But we're trying to prevent those outages, right? And we're trying to provide that safe, reliable electricity. And so we do have to maintain our equipment, right? But then if you come back with a right tree or a smaller tree, something that's 30 feet, 25 feet tall at maturity, in theory, we're not going to have to do anything to that tree when we come through in our maintenance activities. And the added benefit is during storms, if there is an issue, right, the restoration time is very small, right? Because we've already kind of done the work, and that tree is not going to be an issue for us. And so it reduces that outage time if you do happen to have an outage.
Okay, and probably not just ice storms. Like, there's the wind. We have a little wind here in Oklahoma, right?
We
and
do.
So branches can just kind of touch those lines and cause some brownouts and things too?
It can as they get closer, and we're coming kind of towards the end of storm season, and we've seen the last couple of weeks, we haven't had any major storms necessarily, but certain places we have, but we've had a lot of high wind events, right? And it doesn't have to be in the wires. If you get a high enough wind speed, it can move around and it can contact those conductors or those wires, right? And it can cause issues. We don't recommend planting anything directly under the line.
Okay.
It's just around the poles either, because a lot of it is storm work. And if we do have restoration, even if we don't necessarily have to do anything to that tree during our maintenance cycle because it's not going to get close, we may have to during restoration, depending on if they have to change a pole out or the wires come down. So we normally recommend planting 10 feet away from the line anyway.
Okay.
So Chinese pistache can be planted and a little bit further away. But 25, 30 feet max is kind of what we're looking for. And that's what we did here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some of these plants. And so I've noticed pretty much directly underneath the power lines, you've created this wildflower strip here. Let's talk a little bit about that first.
Sure, yeah. Well, so outside of right tree, right place, we do a lot of environmental initiatives too, and pollinator habitat is one of those. We have a lot of transmission lines, and this is a transmission line overbuilt on a distribution line. And so distribution lines are kind of what you see in the city. Transmission lines go from the substation, like over there, throughout the countryside and to the city, right? And so a lot of transmission lines, we're starting to do this. And then some of our facilities where instead of mowing, we're able to do something like this and minimize that mowing and minimize that impact. And then it provides you know, ecological benefits as well. And then it's really nice, right? It's
beautiful,
beautiful, yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about the trees then you've got off on the shoulders here.
Sure.
What are some of the trees that you really prefer to see?
Yeah, so, you know, the redbud is a state tree, right? And but it's not the only tree that you can plant, right? A lot of people think utility-friendly trees and small trees and that redbud, but there's a lot of options out there, right? Serviceberry is one, shantung maple. There's a couple of hollies here. There's obviously some redbuds. There's a lot of ornamental magnolias, prairie fire crabapple or crabapples in general, sweet bay magnolia, Amur maple. There's a lot of different things out there.
And even some evergreens like the laurels and hollies, so that you can have
cherry,
that
laurels,
year-round screening sort of thing too.
Yeah, and there's also some upright trees. So there's some Pive minaret and Lindsay skyward bald cypress. There's slender silhouette sweet gums. And so those are trees that, you know, get about anywhere from 8 to 12 feet wide. And they may get 30 feet tall, but they're very narrow. And so we still want to plant those, you know, 12 feet away from the lines. But if they were to fall into the line, it's not, you know, a 10-inch oak branch or elm branch, right? It's kind of the flimsy little my finger type size, and it's not going to cause as big of an issue. But hopefully it's planted far enough away that it's not going to happen, right? But it gives an option for screening. Like we hear that a lot when we're removing trees or pruning trees in our maintenance operations is, you know, well, that's going to affect my screening. You know, I didn't want to see my neighbor, or I didn't want to see this, or, you know, the construction site. And that's fine, and we understand that, right? But this gives you an option, right? It's a narrow tree, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. So if your yard is small, you can fit it in there and you can still get that screening.
Well, and what I really like about this, of course, we used a mix of trees for demonstration purposes, but it's kind of nice seeing a mix, like having kind of that variability of the texture and also the color and contrast of that. Well, this is a beautiful display. And again, we thank OG&E for helping with this. It just was installed last November. Great time to plant trees. We still got to get some signage out here, but I would encourage anybody who's thinking about planting under power lines to come out here and visit the Botanic Garden at OSU and check out some of the tree options. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.